Welcome to Corporate Agony Aunt, the podcast that takes the agony out of career progression and gives you straight talking advice you actually need to thrive at work. I'm Izzy, your Corporate Agony Aunt. Whether you're chasing a promotion, negotiating a pay rise, or navigating office politics, this is the place for career highs, lows, yeses, and nos. Hit subscribe whenever you're listening because your next big opportunity starts right here. Today we're tackling some tough topics, starting with rotten bosses and company restructures, and we'll break down how to spot them, how to cope, and when it's time to walk away. Let's dive into the deep end and spill some corporate tea. Our first corporate dilemma is, Dear Corporate Agony Aunt, I love my job, but I hate my boss. Should I quit? This is something that we all face, an age-old dilemma, but loving the work and dreading the person you report to can actually feel like a really tough spot, especially when your passion for the role and the company is really strong, but your boss's behaviour and management style is making you feel like every day is a struggle. You don't have to quit straight away though. There are some strategies you can navigate to help you feel like you enjoy your job and can tolerate your boss a bit more. The first thing you need to do is assess, is it actually the boss, the individual, or is it the role itself? Do you actually hate the job, or is it just your boss's management style that's driving you crazy? Some bosses can be micromanagers, others might be hands-off to the point of neglect. Some bosses are controlling and others might struggle with communication. So ask yourself, is the core of the job something you truly enjoy, or are there aspects of the work that you dislike but could potentially improve with a different manager? Does your boss's behaviour directly affect your ability to do the job, or is it more about a personality clash or a management style? And could the relationship improve if your boss was open to feedback or if you had better communication between the two of you? Understanding the nature of the problem will help you determine whether this issue is the boss alone or something bigger like your role or the team dynamic that could be fixed in other ways. The next question is, can you actually navigate around them? If you love your job and the company, try to navigate around your boss before deciding to quit. It might sound counterintuitive, but the thing is, the relationship doesn't require quitting, then it's something that you can tolerate. So ask yourself, is the core of the job something you truly enjoy, or are there aspects of the work that you dislike but could potentially improve with a different manager? Does your boss's behaviour directly affect your ability to do the job, or is it more about personality clashes or management style? Could the relationship improve if your boss was open to feedback or if you had better communication between the two of you? Really understanding the nature of the problem will help you determine whether the issue is with your boss alone or with something bigger. The role, the team, the dynamic, that could be fixed in other ways. Next, you need to ask yourself, can you navigate around them? If you love your job and the company, try to navigate around your boss before deciding to quit. It might sound so counterintuitive, but here's the thing. There are always ways to manage this relationship in a way that doesn't require quitting and inconveniencing yourself. You just need to set boundaries. If your boss has certain behaviours that irritate you like crazy, like micromanaging or interrupting, try to address it professionally. A really calm conversation about your work style or preferences can go a long way. For instance, you could say, I work best when I have a lot of autonomy on certain projects, as it helps me be more creative and efficient. Would you be open to giving me more space to do so? If you find that your boss is hard to please or frequently critical, what you need to do is seek regular and constructive feedback, even if it feels like you don't want to and you don't want to hear it. Take control of the conversation by being proactive, asking for ways to improve, which will lead to clear expectations and less ambiguity. It might even open the door to better communication and help you understand your boss's perspective a little. Not all bosses are monsters. Sometimes we build them up to be that way in our head. Sometimes some of the blame is with us too. And lastly, build relationships with others. If your boss is hard to work with, start building relationships with the colleagues, mentors, or even your boss's boss. I've always done that, who can support or offer guidance. Sometimes having allies in your corner makes it easier to deal with a challenging workplace, and also it means that you've got the advocacy should you wish to look for a lateral move within a different department. For instance, a mentor within the company can help you find ways to work with your boss more effectively and may even offer you solutions that you hadn't considered before. And lastly, we touched on it earlier, but look for opportunities to work with other teams. If the job is truly one you love and you're willing to stay, try transferring to the company to work with another team or department. If your boss's behaviour is intolerable, but the company culture and work are a good fit for you, moving to a different manager may be the perfect solution. You need to try and separate your personal feelings from the situation. I know no one ever wants to hear that when they're frustrated, but often with bosses, our frustrations come from personal grievances or miscommunications, which then get exasperated by emotions like resentment or burnout or exhaustion. Try to put yourself in the most objective mindset. Don't make professional decisions on a personal frame of mind. If your boss is really and truly affecting your mental health, it might be time to think about when it's time to let go from the job and find a new role. Just try asking yourself, is this a personality conflict or is it something that's genuinely impacting my work, well-being and my growth? Have I given myself the space to understand my boss's perspective, or am I taking everything super personally? Sometimes managing your own emotional response can make the working relationship far more bearable and improve the situation. But if things like excessive stress, anxiety or frustration are happening daily, then that's an indicator that it's more than just a personality clash and it may require a more direct solution. Honestly, when all else fails, have an open, honest conversation with your boss genuinely might be the most effective strategy, if you feel it's safe to do so, obviously. Sometimes managers don't actually realise the impact of their behaviour or decisions. As an example, my boss might put in a last-minute meeting on a Friday and call it a catch-up. That might spiral in my head to feel like I'm going to get sacked close of play Friday. If he gives me the heads up that it's nothing I need to worry about, then I'm relaxed and I'm excited. The key is to approach the conversation with the goal of finding a resolution and not just venting your frustrations. Keep it calm, respectful, and focused on improving your working relationship. And then you've got to ask yourself, is quitting the only option? If you've exhausted all of your options, tried navigating the relationship, setting boundaries and working around the challenges, and things aren't improving, it might just be time to consider your long-term happiness. If your boss's behaviour is truly toxic, and trust me, I've had 4 of them, and it's negatively affecting your mental health, or it's preventing you from growing, or you just dread work every Sunday, sometimes leaving is the best option, but you have to be prepared and ready for that. Sometimes the answer isn't about fixing the boss, but fixing your situation and moving out of a toxic environment. Don't leave a great job because of one bad person, but assess whether or not it's the right time to leave. What you really have to remember is that your job is just one part of your life, and it's important to prioritise your mental and emotional well-being. And if staying in a toxic relationship with a boss means sacrificing your happiness at home, then moving on honestly might be the right choice. In the end, the career, our paths, is truly ours to shape, and there's no shame in deciding that working under a difficult boss isn't worth it. So take control, weigh up your options, and choose what aligns with your long-term goals and happiness. Our next corporate dilemma is, my company is downsizing. How do I stay off the chopping block? Honestly, I'm seeing this all over LinkedIn. There are redundancies and restructures everywhere. If your company is downsizing, then you're in a situation where being proactive and strategic is essential. When layoffs loom, it's not always about being the hardest worker, but also about being the hardest to replace. The key is to show that you're just not another cog in the machine. You're an irreplaceable part of the team. You need to show impact. During tough times, leadership focus on the people that are the most efficient and profitable. That means show how you can improve a process, boost efficiency, find new clients, fix problems. People focus on the bottom line and the long-term goals more than anything when layoffs are looming. And you need to stay really visible. When teams are downsizing, it's easy to get swallowed up in all of the noise, but you need to make sure through regular updates, reporting on your progress, or just being an active part of discussion, be sure that people remember what you bring to the table. You really have to add value fast, and it might not feel like you want to, you might not have the impetus or the drive to do so, but volunteering to take the lead or support on something is a way you can streamline a process and help alleviate pressure elsewhere. Jump in. The more that you demonstrate that you're a flexible, safe pair of hands, the more likely you are to be kept on board. Sometimes layoffs happen because certain roles just become redundant. There's so much discussion about AI and technology adoption at the moment that really and truly we should all be learning new skills in our roles, and we should all be trying to show how adaptable we are. So it's not just layoffs that mean that we should be looking at other skills. We should be doing it no matter what. And even if you're not actively looking for a new role, please update your CV and your LinkedIn profile and keep actively connecting with recruiters, because that puts you in a really good position if you need to move quickly and you're future-proofing yourself against the inevitable. But my goal would always be to make myself too valuable to lose. If you take one thing away from today's advice, it's this: make yourself indispensable. It doesn't mean you need to work yourself to the bone, but it does mean adding value in ways that make it hard for your boss to envision the team without you. Be visible, showcase your impact, and be a critical part of the team's future success. So before the worst case scenario happens, take action and make yourself a key player whilst also protecting yourself and your future. Next up, it's time for our corporate confessionals, the part of the podcast designed to help you feel better about your biggest workplace mistake and to act as a reminder that we are all only human. This one is about accidentally spending money as a result of a phishing attack. I'm sure you've all had phishing training, so hopefully you'll know what that is, but if not, have a look. I accidentally spent £4,000 on the company card on Apple vouchers after the CEO in speech marks emailed me and asked me to go to the Apple shop and buy them. I made 2 separate trips before someone realised that it wasn't actually her. I quit a month later to go travelling around Mexico and it could not have looked more suspicious. I had to have a debriefing interview and they decided for some reason not to investigate, even though everyone thought I was 100% embezzling funds for a Mexican tour. The follow-up was a whole company-wide meeting where I was named and shamed. Let this be your reminder that phishing emails happen all the time. They're getting more and more sophisticated and it's so easy to get caught out. If your CEO doesn't ever normally email you directly and they email you asking you to order some vouchers, please pick up the phone and check that this isn't a scam. Because honestly, there's nothing more embarrassing than wasting company time and company money on a mistake like that, and I can guarantee everyone will know about it the next day. Now we're moving on to our interview power move masterclass, which today is all around being always open to opportunities because job security is a myth. I've seen it time and time again. Massive companies make massive redundancies and people just don't expect it. I've known individuals who hang up on recruiters mid-conversation because they're under the false impression that their job is safe. There is no such thing and you don't have to fall into that trap. The key to career stability and thriving in unpredictable times is to always be open to new opportunities even when you're actually happy where you are. You never really know when an opportunity might come knocking that actually leads you into a completely new field or industry or skill set that you never even considered before. It gives you the opportunity to negotiate from a position of strength, but it also allows you to take your time and be really selective about what fits with your career goals. But to be open, you need to keep your CV updated at all times. I know that you're going to roll your eyes at that. Updating your CV is so boring, but it is the best practice in the world to update your CV every quarter and make sure that all of the key milestones, achievements, and responsibilities that you're completing in your current role are on the CV at any given time. Next up, you need to leverage LinkedIn and make yourself visible and accessible. Opportunities aren't going to come to you unless you're turning up and meeting the opportunities where they are. And here's the truth about LinkedIn. The 99% who simply lurk on that platform are invisible to people that matter, but the 1% who actually post, engage, and comment are the ones that stand out. So if you want to be ready for the next opportunity, you have to be visible. Share your thoughts on industry trends, share your success stories. It could simply be commenting on a post from other professionals that sharing relevant content. The key is to be seen as active and engaged and consistently turn up with your authentic voice. But visibility is not just about posting. Connect with people who matter, hiring managers, decision makers, others in your field. Build a solid network. So when you have time, try to connect to 2 to 3 new meaningful connections every week. They don't all have to be recruiters. You could find CEOs, you could find the person that's the role up from you in the next company. Just engage with their stuff, leave thoughtful comments, send them a message to say you love what they're doing. You don't have to sell, just connect. This matters so much even if you're really happy in your current role, because the power move here is about positioning yourself for future opportunities, even if you're happy where you are now. By doing that, you're building your reputation as someone who's skilled, visible, and highly talented and attractive to a candidate. You've already established a strong network, updated your profile, and you've got a position of credibility. So when you're actually job hunting while you're currently employed, things are so much easier than when you do it after you find out that you've no longer got a job. The power move is to post, connect, and be seen because opportunity knows nothing. Reminder, there is no such thing as job security, but there is such thing as career security, and we have to create that from ourselves. It comes from being proactive, staying open to new opportunities, and building a network that will actually support your growth, whether you stay in your current job or move to your next. So please take this time today to update your LinkedIn profile and connect with some new people and post some insightful stuff, because your next opportunity is probably closer than you think, and you never know when you might need it. Right, the final section of our podcast today is community questions, and today we have producer Georgia reading them out loud for us.
So the first question is, I have an interview to be a designer this week. Any last minute advice to stand out?
Standing out in an interview is all about making the panel feel at ease in your company and being memorable, okay? So if I wanted to stand out, I would think about one quite interesting pertinent, maybe peculiar facts that I know that panel will remember. It will be relevant to the job I'm applying for, but it will be something that makes them think, this girl knows what she's talking about. So think about, what is your USP? What's your one thing that is your competitive advantage over others? And make sure you get that across in your answers. What I'd also consider is stalking the people that are going to be on the panel. So the thing that I think has made the most difference in what I've done in my interviews is social engineering the situation a little. I'll give you an example. I once went into an interview with a man called Michael. He asked me what I did in my free time. I said I love to travel. He said, oh, where do you want to travel next? I said Venice, but that's because I knew he'd just been to Venice. And then lo and behold, we had 5 to 10 minutes riffing about Venice. Bias is real, affinity bias in particular. Getting people to like you is one of the most fundamental parts of the interview process, whether people admit it or not. So lean into those opportunities where you can social engineer and say something that really helps you stand out for the crowd, and I promise you'll be the best candidate in the room by far. How was that, producer Georgia?
Thank you, so helpful. Second question, how do I let people know I'm changing careers at a networking event?
If I was going to a networking event and about to change careers, I would have it tapered into my introduction. So I might say, hi, my name's Izzy. I currently work in education, but I'm actually looking to get into media. So less about that, the better. Let's talk about what it is that you do. Ascertain what it is that the person in front of you does, who they're connected to, how they can help you. And then you've immediately explained what it is that you're looking for next. So don't go in and be meek and quiet and humble about what it is that you want. You need to show up unapologetically, wear it as a badge of honor. I currently work here, but I'd love to work in this industry. Tell me a little bit more about yourself, and understand how that person might be able to introduce you to 3 to 5 people that could help you make that career change. How was that, producer Georgia?
Question 3. How do I negotiate a salary gently? I need the job, but still think I deserve more.
Negotiating a salary gently when you really need the job and want the job can feel so nerve-wracking, but I think there's ways in which you can have that conversation that are more conversational and open questions as opposed to demands. So we're not saying I need to earn 40,000 and you are only offering 35,000. That is not where we're at. It's something like this. Hi, thank you so much for the job offer. I'm really excited about the potential or the prospect of working with Dave and Dave Limited. But what I'd like to understand is what bandwidth and budget you have to increase the offer that you've made. I can appreciate the offer of 35,000. I'm really grateful for that. But the amount I was looking for was around £40,000 based on my research, the industry and my experience. Is this something that we could talk about over the phone? The reason I say to shift it to over the phone is because the best pay negotiations happen conversationally, but actually you've prepared the person for that negotiation by telling them what you want. Typically they'll come back on email, so don't feel nerve-wracked by the thought of having a phone call, and they'll probably come back to meet you in the middle at 37,500. Ask yourself what you'd be willing to settle for, in my opinion, and add 2 to 3 more £1,000 on top of that as to what you ask for, because then there's a bit of bargaining power in the middle. That's it for today. I hope this episode has helped to kickstart your career glow up. Don't forget to hit subscribe so you don't miss any of our future career tips and tricks, and share it with a friend who's also navigating their career journey or job hunt. Let's build an unstoppable community of professionals who actually know how to win in the corporate world. There are so many extra resources on my website and in the links in my bios to help you land your dream job and tackle your corporate dilemmas one step at a time. Thank you for tuning in, and I'll catch you next time on Corporate Agony Aunt.